Hey, welcome everybody. This is the LHS School Building Committee meeting on May 1st, 2025. And our first item is approving the minutes. Minutes are at your places. For those online, they were attached to the calendar invitation. Take a look and take a motion.
I'll move to approve the March 6th, 2025 meeting of the school committee.
Okay.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All vote. Yes. Claire?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Brown?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Ms. Marjan Boucher?
I also have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Mr. Fanny? On minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Labar?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen? Oh, he's not here. All right. And do we have Ms. Collins online?
Yes.
Are you a yes?
Yes.
Mr. Quimby?
Yes.
Okay. Pass. Moving into public participation. Strong gallery today. Anyone want to participate? Okay. Anyone online? Nope. Okay. And we'll go to the OPM update.
Welcome. One more. I'll touch on the boring administrative stuff up front, and then we'll turn it over for the more glorious updates to the rest of the team. So what you're looking at up here, folks, is just a snapshot of our budget tracker. This is a document or a tool that we use to track the budget throughout the project. So we put every single invoice that comes in into this budget tracker. We then work with Pam and Laura's office to submit for reimbursement. So you can see here just kind of the status of the total project budget. So you can see the total budget, $177,460,652. And then the GMP construction budget shown in the bottom is tough for you guys to see, but down where it says key contracts, it's broken out by Skanska, Jones Witz, SMMA, and Fontaine. So it shows the status basically of what's been invoiced to date towards what the total contract value is. So they've invoiced $20,102,893. So towards the construction contract, that's about 14% of the total project value, if you will. So doesn't tell the whole story, but if you follow the dollars, that typically tells you a pretty good indication of where we're at with everything schedule wise. So if you could go to the next page, Gordon. So MSBA updates, things are good on the MSBA front. We submitted the PFA bid amendment back in April. Is that April 2nd, actually, early April. Skanska met with MSBA several weeks ago. They had some questions just regarding the information. Tom, you probably recall the information we had you sign and send back way back when. Well, they had some follow-up questions. We answered those. We're expecting them to approve the PFA bid amendment and send that information again to you, Tom. It'll have instructions on what we need to do. There's some stuff we need to do with the ProPay site to make that match the PFA bid amendment. So we'll take care of all of that. And I think I do need to ask you to sign one more set of forms, and then I swear I'll be out of your hair till the end of the project.
As long as you hold my hand, Ben.
All right. Yeah, so that's on the PFA bid amendment. So grant reimbursements, as I mentioned to the town, those are ongoing. To date, we've submitted $26,278,370. Of which $15,836,715 has been reimbursed to the town. So if you're trying to do the math real quick, that's an effective rate of 60.27%. So if you guys all recall back to very early in the project, we explained what your reimbursement rate is of 61.95%. And then we explained what the effective reimbursement rate, that range probably would be after all the exclusions that MSBA has in the budget. We expected that to be a 10 to 15% lower than your listed rate. So right now we're at 60.27%, which is great. However, we do expect that to fall off as the project progresses, because what happens is basically all of the invoices that we're submitting early up front are meeting those eligible dollars. And then eventually we do get to a point where you start to reach caps like within the construction budget, and then those dollars are no longer eligible. So you'll start to see that later on in the project. But for right now,
Ben, do we know when that is based on cash flow?
it's realistically probably going to be the summer of 26 where I see it really dropping off. Just based off what I've been giving Kim, that might change, Steve. We always with cash flows, as you know, we're really presenting as though we're spending every last dollar on this project. But our real cash flow, to MSBA at least. But yeah, based off of what we have, that's when I see it trickling.
Kim's right in the boat about how this is gonna look.
Yeah, exactly. We present our information that goes in MSBA to Kim. She works with bond counsel to. So, just want to be open about that because we're putting numbers up there and it looks great, but just expect that to come down a little bit. And then just on MSBA monthly site visits. So it's a little facetious. We're meeting every other month with MSBA. We do have we met with them. I think it was in March. Now we're meeting on May 8th at 2 p.m. That's going to be a virtual visit for them, but it's ongoing. They just check the status of the project, ask us a bunch of questions, and we send them off on their way. So all things are good on the MSBA front. I'll open it up for any questions. All good? Okay. Kick it over to the design team.
Great. Focus tonight is mostly on the FF&E process. That's the other kind of design process going along while construction is underway. So Ben sent out a very long email or attachment from Stefura that went through kind of the furniture for each classroom. So we're much further along on the furniture decision process. Equipment is lagging a little bit further behind. And we've also been doing the technology process at the same time. So this is super preliminary numbers. We are showing that we are under budget. That was to be expected. We've always thought that we would have to use some amount of contingency for the furniture and equipment and technology budget. I think this is still rough early numbers. So this will continue to change over the next couple months. And the equipment budget in particular is one that I think could change pretty significantly.
Christian, what is equipment in this context?
So, it's a good question. It's kind of, it's everything other than furniture, which is a weird way of putting it. But so it's everything from like your silverware in your kitchen to any maintenance equipment that the custodial staff needs to gym equipment. So those are kind of the main ones, but it's really thinking about, so like other than what's the furniture in the classroom, what are the other needs that all the different departments have. So some of it is art equipment as well. But I think those are the main ones. The main ones are usually maintenance, art, and athletics.
Science.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, early days, but the furniture really, I give Dory and Frank a lot of credit, have had many meetings on the furniture front, and that's gotten a lot further along. The exciting part is that we are anticipating step forward to work with the vendors to have some furniture delivered to the school. I think right now we're targeting the week of May 12th, hoping that as much of the furniture can get here. And it's pretty short notice, but we're going to try so that we can have some sit tests. And so that will be great for department heads to come in, and I will probably outfit 1 or 2 classrooms to really get a feel for which teacher desk feels the best. And it's usually those items that we're purchasing a lot of. So it's the student chairs, the student desks, the teacher chairs, the desks that you really want to evaluate. I will say this budget does also include the district and IT furniture are now included in the furniture budget. LCAT is still separate, but those have been wrapped into this pricing. So any questions on?
So are we going to buy the LCAT furniture and a separate funding budget?
That was David.
No,
Public comment period.
not going to be outfitted at all. That's the concession, but IT will.
Right.
And central office. Excellent.
And then Gordon, the next page is a calendar going forward. So again, we're in the purple here on the design process of it, finalizing selections in July. colors and fabric will come back to the school building committee, and we'll give you guys a little kind of overview of how that goes. It's pretty involved because we really try and work with the interior materials that, you know, you have all been a part of picking so far, and making sure that the furniture works well with that. But we'll get to that in the summer time and present that. Then we go out to bid August through September. Some of it comes from state contracts. Some of it is actually a bidding process. It's very complicated with furniture because you can follow different tracks within the state. Then we'll rely on Pam and the district to really help us out with issuing purchase orders. So we'll make sure to walk through that process with you. Steph Word does a great job of prepping all that information, but it is the district that's processing those purchase orders. That'll happen around December of 2025. And then we've got the furniture getting manufactured and reviewing submittals with the installation in the summer of 2026. So that's the kind of range forecast for FF&E.
So you said long range forecasts. Are we taking into account potential cost increases based on geopolitical situations?
We are starting to see that. So on that last slide, we did have an 8% contingency that was not, you know, that we are carrying for issues like that. So I think between now and the end of this year is, you know, that's when we'll nail down the costing, that'll be set. So we'll see how.
Is it advantageous to lock in as soon as possible?
Well, the tariffs get assessed when it crosses the border. So, you know, we could buy something today and then 2 months from now, Trump puts a tariff on some country. And I don't think locking in is really helpful. It's really when it's shipped and it crosses the border.
Good question.
Well, just if it's sitting in a warehouse now, if we could buy it.
True.
We did that with some of the steel to get it here, about that, but with things like FF&E, just our timing, I don't know. That's a good point, Greg.
Do you have a space in town where you can?
We'll make it work if it saves us, you know, $1 million, right?
Something to look
Find something.
Isn't most of the furniture made domestic anyway?
I got room, Mark.
I believe so. Do we know that? Most of the furniture gets made
That's a
domestically,
good
right?
question, Steve. I would think so.
Something made. in-
Most that I can think of.
Are any of your options that you have for the furniture not necessarily made in China? Which would be the most aggressive? of-
Yeah, again, I don't,
They're mostly made here,
right,
the raw
but
material.
the materials
Got
themselves.
it. Okay.
Christian, are we comfortable that 6 months is suitable for manufacturing?
Yeah, I think Steph Ward is comfortable with this schedule for sure.
It feels like more than enough, but I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I think what's mostly important is that you get in line, right? Because everyone's delivering over that summer. So I think that's why the schedule is kind of laid out as it is, because mostly you just want to make sure you've got that. That
So
you're,
you're going right where I was, which is there the ability to compress further without affecting decision-making and so on?
having the furniture delivered earlier.
Or at least having it available. I'd much rather store it for a month than be scrambling in August.
It's an interesting question, Steve. I mean, I think, again, if there is space in town, from my understanding, I would think that most of the furniture manufacturers would appreciate that because again, it's those summer slammer months. So
Yeah, but you got
Then you're
double,
paying for double.
double handle in it all.
I was thinking it was a reduction to take it off their hands. Made a,
To move it again.
Yeah. Something to do.
it's not dry.
Everybody grab a chair and a desk. There we go.
When we did Taconic High School, we had to get rid of all the,
Great ideas. Great.
we had to get rid of all the existing furniture before they tore down the building. So we actually got the prisoners from Berkshire Correctional to come
Work great.
for a week until they snuck into the building. And
This conversation's taking a turn.
Could we look at it Christian, just to see if there'd be any advantages and then what the space requirements would actually be?
we'll discuss with Steph for it.
Okay.
Just keep in mind too, there's the double handling, if you're storing for free, that's fine, but then the double handling, if something gets damaged, who's
Yeah.
responsible? So that just has to be taken into account.
We don't have a whole lot of free space.
No.
Oh,
Let alone free.
I would imagine we'd want it on site in terms of handling twice. a gym or something. probably.
Yeah, I mean, if,
But I mean, we're looking at a month or two at the school.
and they can do it after.
You're shopping this
outside
place.
gym.
But the overall point is
Have a gym.
you know, as
One day at a time, one day at a time.
they're involved in other projects. I'm sure they know the climate and what is kind of necessary for a period like this. I hope that would be sufficient, but we'll definitely look and see if there's any angle to better it.
Yeah. Great.
Great. That's it from us.
That's it for you?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
ready?
we're ready.
So procurement update, there's a couple of packages we sent out recently. We're trying to buy out the rest of the smaller packages. So we've done doors and hardware, the fire door, overhead doors, carpet and grills, gym equipment. We're working on site concrete. We had a scope review the other day, millwork, casework, the press box, the landscaping package, which is big, and then still working on athletic court surfacing. There's a couple other packages that we'll buy out after that.
Is there any significance to that font being like twice? I didn't know if that was a crisis.
No, but it is bothering me.
Tell.
There you have it.
Yeah.
I could see it.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
Have fun.
That's the item.
Is that the schedule?
Yeah.
So just in real bit, I know it's hard to see that, just to give you a synopsis of where we're at. So site work, as far as site work, if you'd notice, like we've got the concession building actually built and the walls are built there. We're doing some underground duct bank in that area there. The 16-inch water line that we discussed in our OAC meeting is material showed up today. We're going to start looking at doing that work shortly as it shows up, and we got to do the gate valve to kind of tie that off to kind of keep American Saw up and running. And as we work through there, we're working on the Norton Street. We've done the tie-in for the sewer. We're actually working on water line also there. So on building A and building B, we're working on underground. So plumbing is 100% done. Electrician is about 60% done in A, and he's moving himself into B to do underground, so we can pour some slabs in A and B. When we look at the C spine and then building D and building E, so both the south side of the building is all poured. We're pouring slab on grade today. Building E, building D, first and second floor are poured. Building E, the second floor is poured. And then, like I said, slab on grade and building E is poured today. So as we do that, we're working our way around the building, standing studs up, working in the loading dock, working around D and coming around there. So not only is the studs going up, but we're also doing the sunshade supports in that area also to kind of get that out of the way, because that all gets buried by sheathing. So as we work our way through building D and E, we're upstairs doing hangers for the goal is you hang the hangers in before we put the fire spray on the roof, right? So all the trades are up there putting their hangers in about 6 inches down so the guys can spray the roof once we do the roofing. So the roofing started showing up this week. We got about 9 or 10 tractor trailer loads of insulation on the site now. So our goal is to finish the blocking, and as we finish the parapets around the building, then the roof will start the next couple of weeks and start slowly working its way from the east to the west, and we'll start putting roofing on, which opens up more work for the trades inside. So as we work.
I'm sorry.
No, good.
Who do we end up with? Silktown?
Silktown. Yep. So far been very good and everything else. It's a very difficult roof with all the tapered. So it's a lot of material. There'll be probably a total, I'm figuring about 60 tractor trailer loads of insulation that will show up on this job to get this roof done. And right now we got about 10 here. So they'll start working on that shortly. And as we work our way through, we're laying out on the second floor of D for interior studs, hanging track up there so we can get the trades going to start releasing their ductwork, and the piping will be on site also. It's actually already fabricated once we get a roof on. And as far as the pool building is, we have excavated the pool to about 1 foot above bottom of structure. And what happens in about 2 weeks, week and a half, the contractor will actually mobilize. We'll start drainage, we'll start the stone layer, and then we'll actually start building the pool in that area there. And we'll kind of work our way around there, and we'll bring that up. And kind of underground plumbing is already done in the pool building, and electrician will be out there shortly. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Not much going on.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's really accelerated quite a bit recently.
Yeah.
A lot going on. You'll start seeing us more, on Saturdays and going just to kind of keep the pace that we need to keep to get this completed for you.
Are the studs stainless? Is that why we're seeing them bright
Galvanized.
from afar? Galvanized?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Only.
Heavy gauge, those are balloon frames, so you can see that we can't kind of zoom in, but you can see building D there. Those studs are going from foundation on the first level all the way up through the roof to the parapet. So as it's a balloon frame, we get to pass by the slab itself. We got to tie that in. So it kind of gives us a jump start on that. So we can now start the parapets, which ties into the roof and the blocking, and all the blocking is laid out. We're moving ourselves forward. All the roof pads where the concrete for the units are all poured. So that's a bonus for us. That's all done and ready to go. So now as we move ourself and our insulation and roof from east to west, it kind of gives us a running room.
Looking good on the roof line, Christian, the cliffs. Nice
So
work.
that balloon frame is also good for continuous insulation going all the way.
Right.
Across, so it's double benefit.
And we have we always worry about getting material here. So the mason has actually already had 3 tractor trailer loads of mineral wool showed up on site and here. So that's a bonus for us, right? The brick's not getting made and some of the granite work, we're working on that. Some of the brick's not showing up till August. So when you run those colors, so our goal is to get the studs, do the sheathing, start the sheathing another week and a half, the AVB, start the insulation, work with the granite so we can get that ready. So we're ready when it comes in August, we're actually brick veneer. So.
The tennis court situation was resolved.
As far as what?
It was a.
You recorded, just so you know.
You had power in the middle of it or
We
something?
had water. So that's a 16-inch water line. That material started showing up. We're gonna run that parallel is where we have with that. And we're waiting for the gate valve. There's a gate valve that's gonna go on the backside of the football field. And what that'll do is it'll give us a gate valve to kind of basically shut off American Saw. And when they'll be fed through Chestnut Street now. So we don't have to worry about slowing them up when we actually do the tie-in. So that's
And
gonna.
is the room up to speed on that particular issue?
I don't believe that everybody is. I believe just yourself, Tom.
We should
I'd be
probably
curious.
bring them up, given that they're gonna have
Do you want
to.
to give a little history about how you found the pipe and then we'll fill in from there?
So when we started working on stripping the area of the tennis courts, with the new tennis courts down, we brought that down to subgrade. And then as we brought in the spring, we noticed a lot of residual water on the top. Our fear was that 60-inch water line was actually leaking. So what we ended up doing, we brought in a company here to actually vacuum this area because we're talking 16-inch asbestos line. It's a lot of line in the area. So we had to find the line exactly where it was. What ends up happening is this line is running directly through the tennis court underneath, and it was actually directly under one of the Musco poles where we would have drilled through it when we finished our tennis courts. We've been drilling these holes, and we would have been a whole world of trouble from there. So what the decision was is to take that line underneath the tennis courts and actually do a parallel ductile iron line, which will last hopefully longer than the tennis courts, obviously. And what we'll do is disconnect the asbestos line and we'll tag in on both sides and put a valve in. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Greg.
But that's, what is that, 250,000 or?
An
150.
estimated 250,000. We'll do that as a PCO. We're working with the site contractor to finalize pricing. We'll review it internally with the OPM and the design team. Once that's set, we'll put that together and present it.
So we're gonna have to call, that exceeds Steve and your committee's authority, so we're gonna have to schedule an SBC meeting for you guys to vote and approve of that.
How does
And that could be a
American-
Zoom, depending on how time comes.
But that's gonna need to happen pretty soon, I would.
Yeah, Danielle, what do you think? Where's GAG on this? Close?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just got the pricing yesterday.
Yeah, we just got last night.
So I'll put it together. We'll do the internal review and then we'll get it over for.
Okay. So
How
we
does
should probably,
American-
I'm sorry, see it end of next week.
Oh, absolutely. Probably mid next week. Yep.
How does American Saw work into all of this?
So this 16-inch line comes from, there's a 12-inch line that runs down Maple Street and is tagged off to come through the site with a 16-inch line. That 16-inch line goes through parallel to the football fields, goes over to American Saw and keeps going to the pump station that's over on Chestnut Street. And then that pump station fills the towers. So
Oh,
this kind of feeds 2/3 of the town and when it's really running. So the idea of, destroying that line during this time is but it also feeds the fire pumps and everything else is involved in American Saw. So if we shut that water line off, then American Saw is shut down. So the idea of putting this gate valve in, what it does is it basically stops the flow from this side to there. And that forces the water from Chestnut Street to feed American Saw, almost back feeding American Saw. So they're still alive. We
okay.
actually do the tie-in.
And so is there anything we got to pay like on their behalf?
No, all we're doing is coordinating with them. It's gonna be on a Saturday when they have the least amount of work going on. In the next couple of weeks, we'll do this. We'll shut them down. We'll tell them we're shutting them down on a Saturday, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning until we're done. And then we'll turn them back on and then they'll be live. And when we actually do the final tie-in of the 16-inch line, that's when we shut the gate valve and then they'll be fed from Chestnut Street at that point.
All right, thank you.
Valve is basically PR for the town of East Long Meadow and not shutting American Saw down
Yeah, no.
for any length.
Yeah,
of
no,
time.
no, I get it. Yeah.
So there's the metal studs going up in building D. As you look at, you look on the loading dock side, on the right-hand side, you can see the window starting being formed. This was probably a week or two ago. As we work our way through here. Underground plumbing, that's in building B. That's all been backfilled and inspected. That's actually your locker room area. They're in the gym area right now that you're looking at.
Mark, who's doing the framing? Car?
Car, H car, yep. And we have building E and D on site for material. That-
The sewer tie-in at
Norton Street, yep.
Okay.
So the sewer's tied in, yeah, it's kind of hard to see, where is that, right? So that's, yeah, we tied the sewer in there and we have the water structure.
Subdivision too.
Oh, damn.
You need the revenue, Tom.
You know what, like, tell me about it.
So, yeah.
70.
The tennis court, you can see that line, the dark line, that's where he built a road there to get to the water line. And where it actually turns a corner at the top of the church parking lot, that's where the water line actually V's and goes towards the football field and straight down. So right now, that one pole is right in the middle of the tennis courts and working with National Grid to remove those poles. We'll throw some temporary poles in the parking lot. Just so you know, we'll put a couple of Jersey barriers around there, and that 90-degree temporary power, permanent power that feeds the school will come across that parking lot, and then that'll open up that whole corner for us to finish that work in that area.
So everything's already been vac. We know where we are.
We know where we are, we have a location, we will go into the, when we go into behind the football field, the next couple weekends, whichever one we'll, we're gonna clear cut some of that areas that worked in there. We know where the hydrant is. We'll follow the T back to the main and then we'll go from there. So we should be good. Yes, yep. Here's the pool, already has water in it, just needs a little chlorine. And you can see that slope there. When you look at that, you can see that slope there. So we've actually, cut that pool down to we're about a foot or so above where, we're gonna be there. We'll drive a sump in there to get that and we'll bring that in. We've still got a foot of stone plus the drainage and we'll start that pool in the next couple of weeks.
Good. Very exciting.
So while we're talking about issues, we had
Great segue.
Yeah, more issues than issues, right?
another one.
Take this word off the screen while John's.
I'm not gonna pretend to be the expert, but we have
Thank you.
an issue with the fire protection system in the building. It's a requirement that you have a pressure test on the main that you're feeding the fire protection system from within a year of when you're gonna build it. So the test we had from 2 years ago during design is no longer valid. So we had to do a test and the pressure is low. So we think we have to add a fire pump to the building. And there's a whole bunch of complications with adding a fire pump to bring the pressure up for the building. So this is another significant change order item that's going to come up very quickly.
And that sounds pricey.
Yeah, can you,
It all depends which way we go as far as pricing, right? So we need the fire pump to boost the pressure, like John was saying. So the pressure is about 52 PSI, which is not enough. We need, much more to bring that as the water comes in there. So the fire pump, what it does, obviously, what it does is boost the pressure to help for the fire suppression system. It depends on if the design team, we've talked about electric fire pump, goes in a room, but it has to be dedicated. So we have to change some rooms and the sizes and make it, a fire rated room. Or if we have to go and we can't have enough power in there to do that, we might have to do a diesel, but that would mean outside into a separate building, which we don't want to do. We want to stay within the electric. So we're working through that, diligently with the design team, and trying to get obviously the best for what we can do and making sure the pressure's enough for life safety. So price wise, I can't really give you anything right now, but we're working it to make it as little impact as possible.
I'll guesstimate it's at least 200 grand, but
I'm hoping, yeah.
So how does the pressure change in 2 years? Like what causes the pressure to change?
we got the test from the city
The town gave us, yeah.
town 3 years ago. 2 years.
Mistake number one.
So I don't know if it changed or if they just gave us bad
Do we
information.
happen to know when they took it? In
April
terms of the calendar?
It was.
Because as I understand it, there's a meaningful drop in the summer months when everyone's irrigating.
It was April. It
This
was
has got to be on the
probably 2 years ago.
low pressure side, right? Not by the water towers?
It's the low pressure side of the town, is what Felix is telling us,
Does it
yeah.
have anything
Is
to
Bruce
do
on?
with
Do we have anybody
the pipe
remote?
Bruce is on.
that's going through America?
Crank
No,
the pumps on?
totally different, totally different.
no.
Bruce, do you want to weigh in on this?
No.
Or not?
Sure.
No pressure.
Yeah, no. Oh, and the information we did give you, John, wasn't bad. The pressure just changes in that area during the months from between May and September because of irrigation systems. So during those months, obviously with all the irrigation, the pressure drops. So that's why the pressure is so low right now. And of course, the lack of rainfall as well. I do have a call out. I'm going to be talking to Tigan Bond because we are upgrading the Chestnut Pump Station. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the pressure. So maybe it'll bump it up a little bit. I'm not sure. It's too early to tell. So I will get back to everybody on that as well.
Thanks, Bruce.
How long will it take to get through that conversation? Because, I could save the project a lot of money if it was gonna.
It's not gonna get to 90.
Yeah,
You're not gonna double it by rebuilding a pump.
but that's on the
I
other,
don't think.
but that's also on the other side of where our issue is, right? That's on the Chestnut Street side. So how does that help on the downstream side, right? You need something ahead
Yeah,
of
I
us,
don't-
right? Was that?
Yeah, I don't know any of that information. That's why that's going to Tigan Bond to get some answers, if any.
Outlaw sprinklers.
So we should proceed with the redesign.
As if.
So the information we gave you 3 years ago was 90 something
Correct.
and now it's 50 something?
Correct.
Correct.
And when was that taken? The 90 something?
April 2023.
2 years. And the new one was?
Yeah, just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Has it been brought up before?
We did
Yeah.
two because the first one was
Yeah.
Right.
50. And so we said, okay, second opinion. Let's make sure.
We've done it
So
twice.
Okay.
Shooting water in the Long Meadow or something? That's a hell of a lot of a drop for,
Yeah.
No, is there, maybe there's a valve that's partially closed somewhere.
Yeah.
I-
that's what I mean, that seems just as even a pump station isn't gonna double.
But even,
How can we be?
Because they had those issues. They were trying to find the gate valves. Mike was working with them.
so Bruce, can I ask the pump station on Harkness Avenue, does that run? Is that?
So those are tied together. So they talk to each other.
Okay, the one on Chestnut, okay.
Yes, they need to
The one
talk
opens.
together in order so we don't blow up the
Yep.
system. So
Yep.
they talk. So
Okay, so I understand, okay.
All right, we don't have to solve on the spot right here. We'll have our,
It's in process. I just wanted you guys to
Yep.
know that there's an issue. So
thank you. Thanks, Bruce. There it is. Good job, Gordon. Nailed it.
Want to schedule
That was expensive.
another meeting?
Right? Yeah.
Can I get a ride home?
so schedule another meeting.
Yeah.
Any range for that meeting?
What do we think we are plus or minus to figure this out from a design standpoint?
The fire pump issue or the?
Timeframe or what do you, is that
It was
the?
a week, 2 weeks, a month?
We set a goal in the last meeting. I think it was 2 weeks, 16th or
we're
something
gonna
like that.
check in
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
week. Paul and Stella have to do their work.
So the following week.
I'm just thinking if we have to pull people together again relative to the water line,
Right.
if we could have both of them at one time and just,
Certainly have more information, but I don't know, if we'd be ready to have handed over a PR for
I think
pricing
pricing.
at that point. Yeah.
Electric has got to go through Griffin also, which is, painful. Depending how we got to do this.
Because it's gotta use some juice. I would imagine.
It depends what they come up with, but, well,
Yeah,
Yep.
depends on design. There could be quite a few contractors involved.
Yeah, I think we're probably, the two are not going to line up well, Steve. I think we'll be ready for the water line person. Yeah.
whatever it takes. Yep, do the one.
So that being said, do we want to target another SBC? I know we're probably gonna you have your pricing, so we're gonna take a look at that. I mean, we'd be ready to meet with the committee for this decision, I think, by the 15th. I guess as early as you guys would be ready to meet on that. That one could be just a Zoom meeting or virtual meeting, sorry. Seem
Do you need that?
There's a department head meeting on that day.
We proceeded.
Yeah.
I think you're not at risk with this.
Yeah. We purchased,
we-
we're directed
materials.
GAGs to purchase materials. We were going to find a weekend, either the 10th or the 17th, where we can do that valve cut in. And then other parts of it. So the 15th would be okay.
Yeah, just for clarity, you were directed to do.
Yeah, right.
You weren't going rogue.
Correct.
In case Dave's watching.
15th, we have a.
Yeah, can we, how about the
So it doesn't-
14th?
It really doesn't, to that effect, it doesn't really matter. So I think we could push it to the following week if that works better for folks. So the 22nd, if that's available. Or anytime that week,
Fine, that works for me.
that works. Okay, 22nd at 3 PM.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
I'm not here on the 22nd.
Come on.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, if you have enough, you have a quorum.
That work?
Yeah, we'll have enough.
Sounds like we got enough people.
Okay,
Miss you, Gordon.
okay.
22nd at 3?
That's gonna be virtual then.
I should make that decision if y'all want to come in. We can make the short walk.
It's remember.
22nd at 3. So we'll, once we get the agenda, we'll get it posted.
Perfect.
Yep. Hearing none. I take a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second.
Ryan, second. Any discussion on that? Everybody in favor? In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.